What is good, my people, my peeps? Bear with me really quick. I want to light this incense to get some aromatherapy going. So, yes, aromatherapy to relax the mind, the body, and the soul. This is a big incense, y'all. And it still didn't light. Hold on. So, I'm coming to you all today because I want to talk to you guys about the Most High won't put anything on you more than you can bear. I had to say, "What you say?" to myself today. Hold on for a minute. Let me put this incense up. Okay, so y'all, today was a day. I mean, it wasn't a particularly rough day, but it was a day that made me just, you know, think like, my goodness. I know you guys seen the picture of it's always been a man that has the weight on his shoulders. And so in the thumbnail that I put out today, I found a woman with the weight on her shoulders because it's it's heavy out here. It's heavy, heavy, heavy. Um, and for women, and I think that is a little, somewhat of a reason for me why I get upset sometimes coming into the knowledge of the truth, and the knowledge of us being Israel, and everything that we as Israel have gone through, go through, and continue to go through, and especially waking up to this. Sometimes listening to men's platforms, I get a little upset. I get a little irritated. Yes, because like today when I was sitting in my car before I came into the house, and I was like, I had to tell myself, the Most High won't give you more than you can bear. And my goodness, I know for each and every one of you, you all go through everything that you go through in life. And you think, you may not say it, you may not have a platform, you may not speak on it, um, you may not even have anybody to talk to, because a lot of us are isolated, and by choice or force, and so you may not have someone to talk to tell your your woes, to your daily woes, and how you feel like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. And so I was thinking to myself, my gosh, I don't understand how we are waking up, and these platforms that so many men have, that there are women that are waking up in the truth, or if you're a TI and you're waking up to the reality, to the real world around you, how they are still putting or bashing, or we know each and every one of us have done things, right? And so I was like, this is heavy. But then I had met a young guy, and his name was Zach. Was it? Wait, let me get it right. Was it Zach? Jake? Yeah, it was Zach. And he, y'all, I don't even know what type of disability he had, but it caused him to shake. His body was contorted. You know how when people have, some disabilities contort their body. He could hardly walk, and he could hardly talk. But he was able to, move around, function, get go to work, get off work, go to the ATM, and but his body while he's doing this is contorting and shaking and like his muscles are constantly on contracting, and his body is just deformed. I can't even talk today. And so as I looked at him, I had to say, there for the grace of God go I, because that could be me. And I don't know, on top of his disabilities, the weight of the world that he may be feeling, because for each of us, we have our different problems, our different issues, that we work through on a daily basis, right? And so when I come across platforms that, especially being Israel platforms, that are, okay, not bringing us together, but being part of the world, adding more weight to the Israels, to us as Israelites, waking up, but being part of the weight, you know, instead of lightening the load, because we know that it's a heavy load that we all have had to bear. And I sit and I look and I'm like, do these people who have platforms, do they think that because um, a female is of the opposite sex, that her load in life is lighter um, than he, because he's a male? Because you hear so many platforms where they make it seem like it is easy street for a female. Like the female, if you're Israel or not Israel, if you're Jake or whatever nation you come from, like every female has it easy out here, as if every female out here, um, like the bills don't roll in every first of the month. They're like their bills are paid for. Um, their food is stocked in their refrigerator. Like they have no worries. When that can be further from the truth. Uh, the only difference is, you see, is that different females handle their life struggles in different ways. That is the difference. Whether they use their body to get them out of certain situations, that is what they do. And now you have this whole dynamic of men who are upset uh, with women who have used their minds, their brains, to get them out of certain situations. So they won't have to use their bodies, their sexuality, to live a somewhat of a normal life, if there is a normal life here in this dimension. So you have these men that are upset now, and we heard that. What, I have a PhD, Um, we have these men that are upset with women who've gone to college, and it's not as if college was handed to each and every female that went to college. There was not scholarships that were handed out. like candy to every female that took that route. And when taking that route, men see the after effects, whether it be uh, they become a doctor, a PhD, a lawyer, or whatever. And so they're seeing the after effects of these women who didn't choose the road less traveled by and go down the road of using their bodies to somewhat situate them in a better you know, lifestyle, put them in a better place in life. And it's not necessarily a better place, because just like if a young man thought the easy road was to sell drugs and the fast life, it never lasts. You see, either they're going to wind up dead or in prison. Same as female. If she takes the easy way, which is using her body, being provocative, and in any way, shape, and form of using her body, thinking that that is her way out, well, see, there's going to be wear and tear eventually on her body um, from using her body. And uh, then the money, the men will start to disappear. So she has not really gained. Now, and then we have the woman who has used her mind, her brain to get to where she is so that she won't have to struggle. Although there's going to be struggles, because a lot of the men who are upset with the I have a PhD women, you see, they weren't there during the long nights of studying. Some of those women may have had children before they even got into college. You see, so we like to look at people's lives and art. Now it's not just people. We're classifying. It's like the war against the sexes, the men against the women, and how easy it is for women. And I'm here and I beg to the differ on that concept, because bills roll around every month. You got your water, your lights, your whatever. If you got a vehicle, um, if you got to eat, and that is not that all of that's not free in this cycle of slavery that we all are in right now. That's not free. So the burden, the weight, what I thought, and when I was sitting in the car, I said, wow. Everything we do to just survive in this system can cause anyone to basically lose their mind. Okay. And I thought, he wouldn't give us anything more than we can bear. And then I had to laugh. I had to laugh because I have a lot that I go through in life, from being at the beginning of my life till now. And when you have people like look at you in your life and where you're at and what you've accomplished or what you've done in life, and prejudge that, how dare them to do that, first of all, um, because of their road, their path that they've gone through in life, because that's the path, that's the road that the Most High put them on. Just like Zach, the young man that had the disability, contorted, shaking, can't speak. And that is the road that his life, the Most High put him on, and now that's the burden and that he has to bear. And so last night I was asleep, and sometimes I listen to sermons when I go to sleep, or mostly sermons when I go to sleep. And I heard about the book of Jasher, if I'm saying it right. Now, we know many books have come out of the Bible. Well, they took books out of the Bible. And So I've seen this book come, online, and I kind of stayed away from it because like I said, I'm just now waking up. So I don't want to put too much information or take in too much information all at once. But there's a book, just like we have the book of Enoch, so we have the Apocrypha, and so there's a book called the Book of Jasher. And in the book of Jasher, it also, just like the Apocrypha, gives you more of the story, because people, especially people who don't believe in the Bible, because the Bible has had many books taken out of it, it's hard to follow along, or it looks like that there's an inconsistency in the story, right? And so when I was listening to, I was like in and out of sleep. You know that where you getting ready to go to sleep or fall asleep, but you still can hear. And so the book of Jasher was talking about the story of Abraham and Isaac. And I thought that I would bring this story up today because of how I was feeling today about, my goodness, the weight that I have on my shoulder, and I'm a female, and how I was thinking about how dare some men in the world think that we have it on easy street, you know, and how the Most High wouldn't give you more than you can bear, or test you without knowing that's my servant, and that he has faith in you, right? And so the book of Jasher goes further into the story of um, Abraham and Isaac. And so we know the story of Abraham and Isaac to be that Abraham um, is requested to take Isaac by the Most High to sacrifice his son. Woo! Ha! If you have children, now you can't tell me that's not a burden to bear. That's more than the world on your shoulders, especially if you love your children. I'm not talking about no psychopathic people, no narcissistic people that don't care about their children. I'm talking about if you're a parent and you've had children, you know the love that you have for your children, right? So the burden, and you know that is a great burden to hear from the Most High God that you serve. I want you to sacrifice your child. Show me how much you love me, basically. Now, we have heard in the Bible many times Satan appears to Jesus to tempt Jesus when he was coming out of the wilderness. You guys remember that. But Satan, he's always around. And when I heard this in the book of Jasher, it reminded me of yesterday when I told you guys, in the end times that we are in, people that come to you, talk to you, or say words, mind, listen to what these people are saying, right? Listen to what they're saying, because sometimes people are not who you think they are. Sometimes these people are witches and demons and Satan. Yes, Satan has come in this whole Bible to tempt, to sway people off of their path, especially, hmm, especially when you're on a breakthrough in life from the Most High. When you're about to come through that breakthrough, that's when you really feel like the weight, like the world is on your shoulders. And it's like situation after situation is occurring. But also, certain people are coming and saying things in your ear things that you know deep down inside, if you are the child of the Most High, if you know that that's not the right path for you, instead of rebuking these people, you can let Satan in unaware. Okay? So I want you to listen really quick, because this blew my mind when I was halfway, like I told you, halfway asleep and halfway awoke. And I was listening to the story of Abraham and Isaac. I, first and foremost, always thought when when Abraham took Isaac up to the mountain where he was to sacrifice his son, I thought that journey that he took alone with him and Isaac. But that was not so. You see, um, he also took Ishmael on that journey. I was like, wow. Ishmael is one of our brothers. He's a madman. Ishmael is the Middle Easterner, which the Middle East does not exist. That's just a fake term. But Ishmael is our rich brother. But they say it's the Middle East. Ishmael was on that journey as well. And one of Abraham's, let me look at my notes, one of Abraham's servants was on that journey as well. But Satan appeared. Now we hear, like I was saying, Satan comes to tempt Jesus after he left the wilderness. He came and he tempted Eve, right? Well, in the book of Jasher, Satan came to tempt Abraham, to get him off his path. You see, quiet as it's kept, and it's not kept that quiet. I don't know if you know who Abraham is. Let me give you a hint. Because see, had he not completed his mission and was tempted by the Most High, like I said, when you're asked to do certain things, when you're going through the weight, because that had to be a burden, a weight for the Most High to say, go sacrifice your son, sacrifice your beloved son to me. And you see, I tell you, Ishmael was on that journey, but Ishmael, if you know the story from the Bible portion of it, Ishmael was the firstborn. Yes. Mm-hmm. Because Sarah couldn't wait. She was up in age, Abraham's wife, and she wanted a child. And so she offered her handmaiden to Abraham. And Abraham slept with the handmaiden, and they produced a child, and his name was Ishmael. Now, Sarah being up in age and Abraham being up in age, well, they were visited by angels, which told them that Abraham was going to have just a huge blessing. Y'all don't know what his blessing is yet? Let me give you a hint. Father Abraham had many sons, and many sons had Father Abraham. I am one of them, and so are you. Y'all remember that song? The father of the nations. So this is very important while I kind of linger here about this burden. Because he didn't ask for, the Most High didn't ask Abraham to sacrifice Ishmael, the firstborn. Biblically, the firstborn male child is the child that receives the blessings, the inheritance, right? Mm-hmm. It's the firstborn, excuse me, male child that receives the blessing. Ishmael was on this journey with them. I never knew that. I don't know if you knew this. The firstborn. Why did the Most High ask or tell Abraham to sacrifice Ishmael? Think about that. No, the blessing was within Isaac. You see, Sarah and Abraham's child together, not Sarah's handmaid and Abraham's child. Mind you, the reason why Ishmael has all of these riches now is because he's enjoying his inheritance now. The riches, that was one of his inheritance. But the ultimate test is you waited until Sarah thought her eggs were dried up, just dry. Didn't think that they could produce any child. She was old. Abraham was up there in age. You know, men love to think that they can carry on forever. But, you know, before Viagra, things can go to sleep downstairs too. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. They were up there in age is my point. But the Most High had a promise, a plan for you as well. And the burden that you bear is to see, can you make it through? Can you pass the test? So, without further ado, let me pull this close. We're going to listen to the story, the part of the story that you may have not heard. And I'm cold, y'all. If I sound like I'm shaking, I'm cold. I should go turn off the air. Part of the story you may not have heard. How if Satan has still wandered and is still wandering this earth, tempting and trying to bring down God's people and take away their blessing, because he knows the blessing that the Most High has for you. And so that's why that burden is so heavy. That's why that weight of the world feels like it's on your shoulders. So here we go. Remember, this is the book of Jasher. So I'm going to get y'all a little closer so y'all can hear. Matter of fact, I think I will turn this around so you can. It's just an illustration. I don't want you guys just looking at me. I think I'll turn this around so you can look at this. Maybe you might want to screenshot this and also listen to it later yourself. So I'm going to make this wide before I do this. And here we go. Let me get this set up for you guys. All right. So this is the book of Jasher. I hope that I'm saying that right. Let me get that so you guys can get it. Part 2. And we're talking about Abraham and Isaac. I want you to listen up. It's very interesting. Make this wide. Oh, goodness. Come on, hit the right button. Here we go.
Daughter, let us pray to the Lord our God that he may do good with us. And Sarah took her son Isaac, and he abided all night with her. And she kissed and embraced him and gave him instructions till morning. And she said to him, O my son, how can my soul separate itself from thee? And she still kissed him and embraced him, and she gave Abraham instructions concerning him. And Sarah said to Abraham, O my Lord, I pray thee, take heed of thy son, and place thine eyes over him, for I have no other son nor daughter but him. O forsake him not. If he be hungry, give him bread, and if he be thirsty, give him water to drink. Do not let him go on foot, neither let him sit in the sun.
So
Neither let him go.
let me pause this right quick. They're getting ready to go do the sacrifice. So Sarah is just devastated, okay? So this is what you're hearing right now.
By himself in the road, neither force him from whatever he may desire, but do unto him as he may say to thee. And Sarah wept bitterly the whole night on account of Isaac, and she gave him instructions till morning. And in the morning Sarah selected a very fine and beautiful garment from those garments which she had in the house that Abimelech had given to her. And she dressed Isaac her son therewith, and she put a turban upon his head, and she enclosed a precious stone in the top of the turban. And she gave them provision for the road, and they went forth. And Isaac went with his father Abraham, and some of their servants accompanied them to see them off the road. And Sarah went out with them, and she accompanied them upon the road to see them off. And they said to her, Return to the tent. And when Sarah heard the words of her son Isaac, she wept bitterly. And Abraham her husband wept with her, and their son wept with them a great weeping. Also those who went with them wept greatly. And Sarah caught hold of her son Isaac, and she held him in her arms. And she embraced him and continued to weep with him. And Sarah said, Who knoweth if after this day I shall ever see thee again? And they still wept together. Abraham, Sarah, and Isaac, and all those that accompanied them on the road wept with them. And Sarah afterward turned away from her son, weeping bitterly. And all her men servants and maidservants returned with her to the tent. And Abraham went with Isaac his son to bring him up as an offering before the Lord, as he had commanded him. And Abraham took 2 of his young men with him, Ishmael the son of Hagar, and Eliezer his servant, and they went together with them. And whilst they were walking in the road, the young men spoke these words to themselves. And Ishmael said to Eliezer, Now my father Abraham is going with Isaac to bring him up for a burnt offering to the Lord, as he commanded him. Now when he returneth, he will give unto me all that he possesseth, to inherit after him, for I am his firstborn. And Eliezer answered Ishmael and said, Surely Abraham did cast thee away with thy mother, and swear that thou shouldst not inherit anything of all he possesses. And to whom will he give all that he has, with all his treasures, but unto me his servant? Who has been faithful in his house, who has served him night and day, and has done all that he desired me? To me will he bequeath at his death all that he possesses. And whilst Abraham was proceeding with his son Isaac along the road,
So
Satan came and appeared to
let me
Abraham
pause right there and clear my voice. Okay, first of all, you heard Ishmael, the firstborn, and the servant talking about what they gonna get once the youngest is sacrificed. If this ain't no black folk stuff here, what happens at funerals and deaths, trying to chop up money, and not just black or white, but just nations plotting already. Not saying let us pray for my brother, nothing of that. Worrying about where the money gonna go, who getting the rest of the inheritance. Now, here we go with Satan. Here he come, his sly tail. Let's go.
a very aged man, humble and of
And hold on, let me
contrite
take it back.
spirit.
I'm sorry.
And he approached Abraham
Let me try to get it back a
and
little
said to
bit.
him, Art thou
Okay.
to the tent? And Abraham went with Isaac his son to bring him up as an offering before the Lord, as he had commanded him. And Abraham took 2 of his young men with him, Ishmael the son of Hagar, and Eliezer his servant, and they went together with them. And whilst they were walking in the road, the young men spoke these words to themselves. And Ishmael said to Eliezer, Now my father Abraham is going with Isaac to bring him up for a burnt offering to the Lord, as he commanded him. Now when he returneth, he will give unto me all that he possesseth, to inherit after him, for I am his firstborn. And Eliezer answered Ishmael and said, Surely Abraham did cast thee away with thy mother, and swear that thou shouldst not inherit anything of all he possesses. And to whom will he give all that he has with all his treasures, but unto me his servant, who has been faithful in his house, who has served him night and day, and has done all that he desired me? To me will he bequeath at his death all that he possesses. And whilst Abraham was proceeding with his son Isaac along the road, Satan came and appeared to Abraham in the figure of a very aged man, humble and of contrite spirit. And he approached Abraham and said to him, Art thou silly or brutish that thou goest to do this thing this day to thine only son? For God gave thee a son in thy latter days, in thy old age. And wilt thou go and slaughter him this day because he committed no violence? And wilt thou cause the soul of thine only son to perish from the earth? Dost thou not know and understand that this thing cannot be from the Lord? For the Lord cannot do unto man such evil upon earth to say to him, Go slaughter thy child. And Abraham heard this and knew that it was the word of Satan, who endeavored to draw him aside from the way of the Lord. But Abraham would not hearken to the voice of Satan. And Abraham rebuked him so that he went away. And Satan returned and came to Isaac. And he appeared unto Isaac in the figure of a young man, comely and well favored. And he approached Isaac and said unto him, Dost thou not know and understand that thy old silly father bringeth thee to the slaughter this day for naught? Now therefore, my son, do not listen nor attend to him, for he is a silly old man, and let not thy precious soul and beautiful figure be lost from the earth. And Isaac heard this and said unto Abraham, Hast thou heard, my father, that which this man has spoken? Even thus has he spoken. And Abraham answered his son Isaac and said to him, Take heed of him, and do not listen to his words, nor attend to him. For he is Satan, endeavoring to draw us aside this day from the commands of God. And Abraham still rebuked Satan, and Satan went from them. And seeing he could not prevail over them, he hid himself from them. And he went and passed before them in the road. And he transformed himself to a large brook of water in the road. And Abraham and Isaac and his 2 young men reached that place. And they saw a brook large and powerful as the mighty waters. And they entered the brook and passed through it, and the waters at first reached their legs.
So I'm going to pause right there and let me turn this back around because I want to speak on something real quick. Oh, Lord, I got to turn this air off. I'm so cold, I'm shaking. It's cold in this house. Okay. Okay, guys. So, y'all bear with me. I got to go adjust the temperature up in here. Okay. Okay, guys. So we heard in the book of Jasher more of the story of Abraham and Isaac. Now, for me, that was the first time I had heard more in-depth details regarding their journey and how Satan appeared to the father and the son, Abraham and Isaac. Okay. And this I wanted to speak on this really quick about discernment, because when I was listening to that, it hinted with discernment, it was ringing a bell too, because when you're dealing with people and Satan wants to appear to you or to sway you, did you hear the descriptions that the reader was saying how Satan looked when he appeared to Abraham? He wanted to be like his homeboy, like someone that he could relate to. When Satan appeared to Abraham, he appeared as an older gentleman, someone, that he could chop it up, right? He could feel comfortable with. When Satan appeared to Isaac, he appeared as someone around Isaac's age, younger, humbly, well-dressed, Because see, Abraham was not poor. Abraham was a rich man. Okay? So Satan, when he appeared to Isaac, he didn't appear as a beggar, as a you know, down on my luck kind of young guy. He appeared somewhat close to Isaac's level, so that would make it feel more comfortable to get into Isaac's ear and try to sway him. Look at you, man. Look like we could we could be boys. I swear you look like my people. You look like my cousin. Yeah, you sharp. Look, I mean, your dad plotting. You plan on taking you man, your body sharp, you're young, you got life to live. You feel what I'm saying? He came on Isaac's level, but the upbringing, obviously, that Isaac received, he didn't just go on Satan's words. He took that conversation to Abraham, the elder, his father, for his father to let him know, rebuke Satan in his words. So I wanted to bring that portion of the story about Abraham and Isaac to you all, because I myself had never heard about Satan coming along their journey and trying to tempt them away from what the greater gift that the Most High was going to give unto Abraham, was that Abraham is the father of many nations. Okay, although he thought he was only going to have Ishmael and Isaac, but Isaac being his true son, Ishmael being his half son, but still his son. He became the father of many nations because he carried through with the burden, the weight of his journey that he had to complete. There's something else that struck me so very, it was an eye opener, because like I said when I started this broadcast, that on so many platforms, it's, let me say, platforms where there's Israel waking up, and these platforms are mostly ran by male figures. And I have not seen a lot of these men trying to uplift and wake up and get us ready, right? Get us ready for the kingdom. There's one more thing that is very interesting, because you hear on some of these platforms that women they don't feel, they don't have emotion, they don't feel like men feel. Like men feel deeper, more emotion. They have emotions that they can feel deeper. And so when I listened to this story about Isaac, Abraham and Isaac and their journey to this sacrifice of Isaac, do we ever know, or did you ever know what happened to Sarah, the mother, at the end of the story? From the Bible version of the story, do you know what happened to Sarah? Because I can't recall, after they made it to the area where the sacrifice was to be, after Isaac, figured out, Dad, where's the sacrificial lamb? And Abraham, God will provide. We know that part of the story. God will provide. And then God did provide the ram in the bush, right? But to my recollection, that is it. That is all. Hello, Tony. How are you doing? Long time no see. um, that is it. That is all that you hear from what I have heard. So I want you guys to hear what happened to Sarah, because we hear about women not being able to feel. But something Sarah felt so tremendously took Sarah's life. And I did not know the end of this story. So I'm going to let us listen to the end of this. And I just want you all to know that we all, as chosen ones, targeted individuals, we have a burden to bear. And it seems like more and more burdens. The weight of the world continues to get heavier and heavier. And I'm just totally, totally convinced that it's only because you have a mission here in life. You have a mission, okay? And I'm going to turn this back around, this over here, so that we can hear what happened to Sarah, the wife. Because we hear in some of these camps that women don't feel like men. They have no feelings like men would have. So here we go. Let me finish the story.
And they went deeper in the brook, and the waters reached up to their necks, and they were all terrified on account of the water. And whilst they were going over the brook, Abraham recognized that place, and he knew that there was no water there before. And Abraham said to his son Isaac, I know this place in which there was no brook nor water. Now therefore it is this Satan who does all this to us, to draw us aside this day from the commands of God. And Abraham rebuked him and said unto him, The Lord rebuke thee, O Satan, be gone from us, for we go by the commands of God. And Satan was terrified at the voice of Abraham, and he went away from them, and the place again became dry land as it was at first. And Abraham went with Isaac toward the place that God had told him. And on the third day Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place at a distance which God had told him of. And a pillar of fire appeared to him that reached from the earth to heaven, and a cloud of glory upon the mountain, and the glory of the Lord was seen in the cloud. And Abraham said to Isaac, My son, dost thou see in that mountain, which we perceive at a distance, that which I see upon it? And Isaac answered and said unto his father, I see, and lo, a pillar of fire and a cloud, and the glory of the Lord is seen upon the cloud. And Abraham knew that his son Isaac was accepted before the Lord for a burnt offering. And Abraham said unto Eliezer and unto Ishmael his son, Do you also see that which we see upon the mountain which is at a distance? And they answered and said, We see nothing more than like the other mountains of the earth. And Abraham knew that they were not accepted before the Lord to go with them. And Abraham said to them, Abide ye here with the ass, whilst I and Isaac my son will go to yonder mount, and worship there before the Lord, and then return to you. And Eliezer and Ishmael remained in that place, as Abraham had commanded. And Abraham took wood for a burnt offering and placed it upon his son Isaac. And he took the fire and...
So I'm going to pause it there. I want to get to Sarah. So hopefully I won't pass it. And what happened to his wife.
He has commanded thee. And the hearts of Abraham and Isaac rejoiced at this thing which the Lord had commanded them. But the eye wept bitterly, whilst the heart rejoiced. And Abraham bound his son Isaac, and placed him on the altar upon the wood. And Isaac stretched forth his neck upon the altar before his father. And Abraham stretched forth his hand to take the knife to slay his son, as a burnt offering before the Lord. At that time the angels of mercy came before the Lord, and spake to him concerning Isaac, saying, O Lord, thou art a merciful and compassionate king over all that thou hast created in heaven and in earth, and thou supportest them all. Give therefore ransom and redemption instead of thy servant Isaac, and pity and have compassion upon Abraham and upon Isaac his son, who are this day performing thy commands. Hast thou seen, O Lord, how Isaac the son of Abraham thy servant is bound down to the slaughter like an animal? Now therefore let thy pity be roused for them, O Lord. At that time the Lord appeared unto Abraham and called to him from heaven and said unto him, Lay not thine hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him. For now I know that thou fearest God in performing this act, and in not withholding thy son, thine only son, from me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw, and behold, a ram was caught in a thicket by his horns. That was the ram which the Lord God had created in the earth in the day that he made earth and heaven. For the Lord had prepared this ram from that day to be a burnt offering instead of Isaac. And this ram was advancing to Abraham when Satan caught hold of him and entangled his horns in the thicket, that he might not advance to Abraham, in order that Abraham might slay his son.
Okay.
And Abraham, seeing
Let's
the
see
ram
if I can
advancing
get
to
it
him,
a little
and he
closer.
made inquiries concerning her, and they said unto him, She went as far as Hebron to seek you
Okay,
both.
hold on. Here we go.
And Isaac, oh, that I had died this day in thy stead. And she still continued to weep, and said, It grieves me for thee, after that I have reared thee, and have brought thee up. Now my joy is turned into mourning over thee. I that had a longing for thee, and cried and prayed to God till I bare thee at 90 years old. And now hast thou served this day for the knife and the fire to be made an offering.
So this
But
is
I console
Sarah's,
myself with thee,
who's speaking. This is Sarah, the mother of Isaac. We never found out. I never knew. I'm just going to say, me, I'm going to put myself in this. Maybe you guys knew what happened to Sarah. This is the book of Jasher, out of the Bible, a book that was taken out of the Bible. We're going to hear what happened to Sarah. Okay?
in its being the word of the Lord, for thou didst perform the command of thy God. For who can transgress the word of our God, in whose hands is the soul of every living creature? Thou art just, O Lord our God, for all thy works are good and righteous. For us mine eye weepeth bitterly, my heart rejoiceth. And Sarah laid her head upon the bosom of one of her handmaids, and she became as still as a stone. She afterward rose up and went about making inquiries till she came to Hebron. And she inquired of all those whom she met walking in the road, and no one could tell her what had happened to her son. And she came with her maidservants and men servants to Kiriath Arba, which is Hebron. And she asked concerning her son.
Okay, so I'm going to pause right there again. So, as far as I know, we've never heard in the Bible that Sarah went looking, honey. It's nothing like a mother's love. Sarah went looking to see what happened to her child. She took all of the men servants and the maid servants. They in the streets looking for her son, her baby, okay, and her husband. Let's continue.
And she remained there whilst she sent some of her servants to seek where Abraham had gone with Isaac. They went to seek him in the house of Shem and Eber, and they could not find him. And they sought throughout the land, and he was not there. And behold, Satan came to Sarah in the shape of an old man. And
come on now, here comes Satan
her,
again.
And he
Here
said
he
unto her, I spoke falsely unto thee, for Abraham did not kill his son, and he is not dead. And when she heard,
wait a minute. So Satan came to Sarah and lied to her. Y'all, that's why I say in the last days, people gonna come lying, seeds of Satan. Lied to her and said her son was dead. But Satan has come back again. Let's hear what happens.
Word, her joy was so exceedingly violent on account of her son, that her soul went out through joy. She died and was gathered to her people. And when Abraham had finished his service, he returned with his son Isaac to his young men. And they rose up and went together to Beersheba, and they came home. And Abraham sought for Sarah and could not find her. And he made inquiries concerning her, and they said unto him, She went as far as Hebron to seek you both where you had gone, for thus was she informed. And Abraham and Isaac went to her to Hebron, and when they found that she was dead, they lifted up their voices and wept bitterly over her. And Isaac fell upon his mother's face and wept over her. And he said, O my mother, how hast thou left me, and where hast thou gone? O how hast thou left me? And Abraham and Isaac wept greatly, and all their servants wept with them on account of Sarah, and they mourned over her a great and heavy mourning. End of chapter 23. Read by C.J. Plogue.
Okay, let me stop it right there. So, let me turn this around.
Chapter 24.
No, pause, sister. Let me turn this around. Down. Okay, guys. So, first and foremost, we're going to have burdens to bear. Satan appeared to the whole family. I've never heard that in the Bible because books have been taken out of the Bible. This book is called the Book of Jasher. So Satan appeared and lied to Sarah. Sarah was already devastated because her son was to be sacrificed, and she went looking for him after a time. And Satan appeared and said that he had died. See, that's why yesterday when I was in the car and I said, when people start coming up to you in these streets and saying crazy stuff, you better bind them right then and there. Because people want to put negative thoughts in your head, and if you're an overthinker, you're going to just be twirling those thoughts over and over in your mind. And half the time that was nothing but Satan and his lies. And just like he put lies into Sarah's head, had her just spinning. And so she's looking, and then Satan appears again. Oh, my bad. Your son is not dead. He's alive. So by Sarah, and my point with Sarah, and why when I hear men say women don't feel, Sarah was overwhelmed with joy. She was elated so hard, her joy she felt for her son to be alive, that her soul literally left her body. Now, I've heard before, people can die of heartbreak, and I've seen stories of people who die of heartbreak. The sorrow so intense that it literally breaks their heart. It breaks them down, and they die. They perish. But the joy that Sarah felt leads me to know that women have feelings that they feel as well. And all of this different battle of the sexes, men against the women, how the men can feel and the women are like children. We need to put that aside and start building up each other in the kingdom, because Sarah's love and joy that her son lived took her out. Her soul left her body. Her feelings, her emotions were that intense. So this is the book of Jasher. And when we put every book together, we can get the full story. And then the Bible won't sound so, half-assed, stories not told in its completion. And I doubt if we'll have all of the story, all of the Bible, all of the books that have been taken out. Because, some are hidden in the Vatican. They're just hidden. And so, but what we can learn, let us learn. So I understand the pressures of the world, the burdens. We all feel like we have that burden, right? But I say that's because you're coming through to a victory. Just like Abraham had the burden of knowing and thinking that he had to sacrifice his son. That's a heavy burden. But at the end, knowing he didn't have to sacrifice his son, the Most High made a way out. Just like the Most High is giving you a burden right now, and it just seems so heavy, but he's not going to give you more than you can bear. And he's also going to give you a way out. And once you get that way out, then you're going to see your blessing that Satan has been trying to take away, just like Satan turned into the water, trying to prevent Abraham and his son from crossing. Satan's just coming to the wife. Satan came to Isaac. Satan came to um, uh, Abraham. He's going to keep coming because he knows that just like Abraham had a blessing, because Abraham is the father of all nations. Father Abraham had many sons, and many sons had Father Abraham. You have a blessing, and your burden you have to bear, and we're going to get through it. God is going to make a way. And I'm out, and much, much love.